Anyone of any skill level can discover the joy of creating new music.
Life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get. Life is like a box of chocolates, but you never know what you're gonna get.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
So this was taken off a video that was uploaded in April the 16th, 2011. And the title is Life is Like a Box of Chocolate, even though perhaps it should say chocolates. So the views on this video are 1,305,000, and it has been up here since 2011 with the actual title Life is Like a Box of Chocolates.
You want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Then this video, which was uploaded on July the 5th, 2016, if we see down here, says the following.
Ain't no box of chocolates.
My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
We see so many different varieties of the Mandela Effect occurring in real time just recently, because it has become so much of a global phenomena, I guess, or that so many people have become aware of it just recently. I believe it is now one of the most Googled terms in the history of our Google online dictionary. So people are becoming aware of it, they are wanting to know what it is and what effects it is having and what is it being affected by. So some more examples that seem to be popping up to mind are words in particular and passages from the Bible. This is a Bible that was printed in the early 1980s. So it is an older Bible, it's not the oldest one around. But some of the Psalms and things like the Lord's Prayer, I think most of us remember as being very different than what we now currently see printed in these words of biblical print. For instance, Psalm number 23, which I know has been a very popular one in the past, especially at funerals. So you can see in front of you what it reads from the book, and I have noted the date on the top of it that I started to look in it and take note of it, which is the 14th of the 10th of 16. And my recollection of this particular psalm reads not as in the book, but rather more like this. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So you can see that that's quite different. Now, I don't profess to being a religious person per se, but I did grow up with the basic fundamentals of going to church and going to Sunday school and having a Bible in the house and having parents who followed religion. Another example that we seem to notice quite strong differences is with the Lord's Prayer. And again, I started looking at this on the 14th of the 10th of 2016 as dated above. And again, it's not the prayer I knew when I was growing up that I did used to know fairly well. Okay, there is the occasional word that was different. So it brings us back to all these different things that so many people are seeing and noting. Many of them are within movies, within written words such as this. There are other examples that I'm about to show you now, which are from the video of another YouTube user. This video was uploaded on October the 6th, 2016, and I think this guy has done a really good job in finding some pertinent information that is relevant for so many people who are interested in the Mandela Effect.
The Mandela Effect is a phenomenon where a large group of people will discover that a well-known fact to them has changed. The key word here being a group of large people. So if your house keys aren't where you think you left them, then you're just forgetful. The effect is named after the leading example of the effect, namely a large group of people having remembered former President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, dying in a prison in the 1980s. As you can see highlighted here in this book. However, if you research this now, you'll find out that his date of death is in 2013. Other common examples of the Mandela Effect which are still being discussed, researched and debated include the Bernstein Bears, various examples from movies and cartoons, and also a number of various company and item logo changes. Now to dive into the latest developments. One of the newer Mandela effects, which has been grabbing everyone's attention, relates to the popular book and movie The Portrait of Dorian Gray. Actually, I mean the picture of Dorian Gray. Apparently it has never been a portrait, so we are all either mistaken or this is a classic example of the Mandela effect. Through the lens of the Mandela effect. There are certain quotes from the book that are uncanny and even unsettling. It's best that you see these for yourself. The past, he reflected, had not merely been altered, it had been actually destroyed. For how could you even establish the most obvious fact when there existed no record outside your own memory? Everything faded into mist. The past was erased. The erasure was forgotten. The lie became truth.
And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past, ran the party slogan, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past.
If the party could thrust its hand into the past and say of this or that event, it never happened, that surely was more terrifying than mere torture and death. It was not even forgery. It was merely the substitution of one piece of nonsense for another. Most of the material that you were dealing with had no connection with anything in the real world, not even the kind of connection that is contained in a direct lie.
A development has come out of an unlikely source, that is 4chan image board. A person claiming that their work is directly connected to the Mandela effect has come out as a whistleblower. This may seem a bit ludicrous, but some points he raises are pretty interesting, let's say. Take these ones for example. He posted photographs from the JFK assassination which show only 4 seats in his vehicle. However, if you now search for these photos, it is clearly documented that there were 6 seats and passengers in the car. He goes on to mention a host of other interesting things, such as saying how the Mandela effect is all a controlled experiment with clear goals. It is well worth looking into. I will post links below in the description.
So with all the information provided and all the variety of subject matter that you can yourself reference, look into, check out, the physical perspective from picking up your own books and being able to read the words in there, we can come to the conclusion that something is happening. But then you must be focused on what is happening and why. I think if we go back to the area and the realm of quantum physics, string field theory physics, and the law of physics, we've had for some time the ability to understand or perceive that more than one dimension or reality exists. It is physicists such as Michio Kaku and others who are giving us this information and are enabling us to understand better the possible or plausible effects of multiple dimensions and realities. And while there have been very few true life examples of this, we know that there is the possibility that these existences are real. So this is where I feel the Mandela Effect comes into play. Basically, parallel dimensions, other time realities. You can talk about this from the spirit perspective as well. So the afterlife, the spiritual realm, the esoteric, the psychic, they all are part of the connection to collective consciousness or collective subconsciousness. There's a saying that thoughts become reality, and I think this is a very paramount sentence. Be careful what you think, because thoughts become reality. We co-create our very existence at many, many levels. Now, for anyone who has taken up the practice of positive thinking or subliminal thinking or thoughts along those lines, we know that this can be true, it can be powerful, and it does exist. It can take a long time to actually manifest, but the reality is that we can alter our directions or timelines or outcomes slightly, exactly as this Mandela in front of you is doing. So how it starts out, depending on the energy put into it, will depend on the outcome of where it's headed. So, as I said earlier, you have to start questioning what exactly is exponentially happening here, and how many people does it affect, and to what level of awareness or change is it having an effect on us. For a lot of people, they might sit here and go, look, these are relatively superfluous issues. Who cares whether Tom Hanks says, Mama said it was a box of chocolates, or whether the Berenstain Bears is the Berenstain Bears. Does it really affect our lives? The answer is, of course not. It doesn't at that minor level. But the more intense perspective of this whole Mandela effect is, to what degree are the changes going to continue, and what is the overall outcome of the expected changes that are taking place. So by the very nature of the fact that almost daily or weekly people are picking up more and more changes at more and more levels, is the pace quickening? So is the pace of change quickening? Are we just becoming more aware, so we're noticing more things, or is it because more people are on board that we are it's being brought to our attention more? But those things aside, the overall question that I ask myself is, how far is this Mandela effect going? Where does it stop, and where is it leading us? It's almost irrelevant to be focused on the current changes and the things that we are noting, which I agree are relatively small. The JF Kennedy shooting is a little bit different, with the anomalous pictures of the 6-seater car now, and the original perspective of the fact that it was a 4-seater car. There is something too with that JFK shooting that is on my mind, which hasn't to date been answered, I don't think. Who were the two people in the middle of the 6-seater car, the lady and woman? If it was true, then the documentation should have given the names of the people in the seat, yet no one seems to have picked that particular part of the change up. So I would be interested in that perspective. But just coming back to the fact that the changes we see are, at this point in time, not going to have a massive overall societal change. They have a personal inference and change at our own personality level and our belief systems. But what's greater that's going on here? What's behind the scene? What's behind the picture, and how much is it going to alter? And I think that's what we have yet to move into, obviously. And I believe the Mandela Effect is going to become a very big issue as we move forward, and it will be more and more widespread and more accepted, but also there are going to be greater changes. I've noted from a personal perspective, and perhaps a psychic one as well, that the dreams I've been having over the last few years have become what I call weirder and weirder. If any of you followed Terrence Mc Kenna before his death, he had a time wave theory or theorem that he had in his practice and his strategies of thinking. He associated it with the I Ching oracle theory. His time wave zero chart stopped in 2012, where it reached the 0 point and began to go beneath zero. And it was of his mind at the time when he made this chart that he said at 2012 and thereon after, something seems to become weirder and weirder. And I often would watch the time wave zero charts and think to myself, what is it? Why is it that he could come to this establishment within this system of charts and graphs that he was using, and understand that from 2012 on things would be literally imploding on themselves? He didn't have an answer, and of course he passed away without ever resolving that issue. But with my own personal experience, I have come to understand that the dreamscapes that I am going through are particularly bizarre, and they have almost merged into a sub-reality. So some of my dreams are so mundane, if you like, they're like an everyday occurrence. They might be as if I was getting in the car to go to work, and then on the way I might drive down a different street and think to myself, oh, what am I doing down this street? And then I think, oh, I'm going to be late for work, quick, I must hurry up. And go down a different street and get a little bit lost for 2 minutes, and then I'll wake up. And then I'll think later, was that a dream, or did that actually happen? So I'm in the position of receiving more and more of these dreams that become so real that I am having trouble putting them into a reality of perspectives. And they are frequent and they occur often. And I have been monitoring them for some time, wondering about the closeness of reality that they seem to exist in, but they are always slightly different. Just enough that makes you question, gee, did it happen in a dream or did it happen in reality? So I think these are some of the things for yourselves who are interested in the Mandela Effect. These are some of the things that you can be doing at your own personal level. Keep a record of things that you might question. Gee, was it always that way? Or has that always appeared to look like that? Take note of dates or photos or places or phrases or movies and titles, and begin to diarise them or journalise them yourself. And see if you can notice changes that either others are also noticing or that you pick up as a unique and new change that you notice. And then I think the thing for all of us to ponder upon is my question that I asked a little earlier. Where does this take us, and what is it all about, and what is it connected to? Is it just the fact that the collective conscious and our thoughts to create reality are what enable this whole paradigm to implode on itself? If we go back 100 years and even less, society and the people who lived in it, and especially in the Western worlds, were very governed, and other parts of the globe, we were governed heavily by rules, dictatorships, sovereignties that did not allow us to be freedom-thinking individuals. Almost every perspective of our life was ruled and governed and doctrined by a set agenda, set at the top by a bunch of either politicians or religious rule setters that governed our life. But as time has ebbed on through the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s and up into the 2000s, we have had more freedom allowed to us. We have had a bigger expansion of the mind and of the esoteric principles and of the connection to the ethers and the ability to understand about quantum physics and string field theories and the relativity of parallel universes in different dimensions. And with that expansion of knowledge and the freeing up of our rigid beliefs and rules and tight-held rein on our mind control, we have branched out and we have broken the boundaries. We have explored new territory. And with this comes a certain degree of uncertainty and unknowing and newness and the ability to co-create whole new perspectives. So as the collective conscious of the humans on the earth grows and expands with the population of our now 7 billion people, so too does our freedom of thought grow and expand. And so too do the rules and regulations break down. We have people fighting at every level for their own freedom, for the shackles to be broken, for the individual to be able to speak out, and for societal doctrination and rules to be lessened and dissolved. So in so doing, at each individual level and that desire for humans to have freedom, is this how the Mandela Effect is actually starting to show itself? Because with every single person enabled to have this freedom of will and thinking and ability to perceive beyond what we once were told is all there is in life, is this the beginning effect of the Mandela Effect? That we see these changes taking shape in the very front of us, because reality is an unreality. Everything about this world is alterable. You can use the double slit experiment that was performed in the realm of physics, that things perform how you least expect them, and we have woken up to that as humans. So even though we think we're not in control of this Mandela Effect, perhaps we are in total control. It's just that we're like babies taking baby steps into this new exploration of a future that we can co-create without the rulers and without the beliefs holding us down. But how powerful an idea like that can be, one needs to have a huge degree of caution when plotting out a new path forward. And I think we see that playing out in the world stage as well. It's very obvious that we are still doing things wrong. We're still approaching things with a lower mindset and a lower vibrational frequency. It's adhering all of the principles of the universe together into one and using the collective conscious at the appropriate high-end level, that then we can move forward with a higher clarity and a better prospect for the future of positive outcome. So there I have it, guys. Yes, I do think the Mandela Effect is going to grow and grow and grow and affect more people and become more de-establishing for the protocol that we have lived with for so long. Yes, it has two ways of going. It could either become very harmful or it could become very enlightening. And I think that that's up to us. Thanks for tuning in. And hey, do your own research on this one. It's interesting. And at this point in time, it's fairly new. So be safe, be careful, and laugh. Namaste.